Welcome to Tell Me Your Story. New paradigms for a new world where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m. for the special edition of Tell Me Your Story, and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m. following the news. And we stream live at those times at richarddugan.com. We podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, many other locations. We're on YouTube, where you can listen to and watch these interviews. Hope you'll subscribe and click notification so that you'll be notified when I put up another podcast, another conversation. And there are 9 a week, 9 different conversations, 9 different guests, and 9 different pieces of information that you'll be able to utilize, I hope, in your life. Like today. We're here today with LUMARI. LUMARI.com is the website. We certainly hope that you will go to her website, as we are going to continue our conversation with her on Living Inspired with LUMARI. And there are lots of ways of doing that. She is a gifted internationally acclaimed intuitive life coach, creative catalyst, conscious channel, and vibrational avatar activator, I should say, who has guided thousands of people worldwide to awaken and live their higher soul's calling. And LUMARI is a channel. She's channeled the Alahuasca. It took me a while to get that pronunciation correct, didn't it? It's the original language of and vibrational source of creation, and these pure creation and activation frequencies. Let's see where I left off here. Uplift your life and our world. So she's here with us today. She serves as a catalyst and a guide and inspiration for personal and planetary transformation, evolution, and awakening. And today we're going to be focusing on her book, Living Inspired with LUMARI. We'll tell you about a gift, free gift that she has. We'll tell you about that a little bit later. But this is having to do with engaging the lights of awakening, revelation, and transformation. And today we begin part 2 of the book, Living Inspired with LUMARI, and the chapter 5, which is vibrating into the tri-light experience, or I should say the tri-light experience of the light frequencies of tri-light. Implies, probably says it straight out, there are 3 in this case. It's a threefold energy dynamic of art standing for awakening, revelation, and transformation, which we covered a couple of weeks ago. LUMARI, first of all, welcome back, and I'm looking forward to finding out more about this tri-light.
Fantastic. Great to be here, Richard. Thank you. And, I want to tell people about because I know we've talked about it before, but when I talk about engaging the lights of awakening, revelation, and transformation, many people, when they think of inspiration, they think of like this, frequency, this energy, this insight that just comes and wow, you might take action on it, you might receive it, and they don't recognize the richness, the ability of inspiration to transform your life, and the difference between receiving an inspiration and living inspired, being able to live in that energy of inspiration in your life. And so when I talk about it, I say awakening, revelation, and transformation. So awakening, that's the first time, and most people only get this one part. So awakening is that insight. It captures your attention, and the light streams into the prisms of your mind and your being, and that's when you actually recognize that there's a moment of inspiration happening. And most people, that's all they pay attention to. Now, the richness of what I'm sharing about inspiration and living inspired is the next one is revelation. So revelation announces, it discloses, it reveals, it imparts the energy, the mystery, the beauty of that inspiration that you're receiving. So now you actually see the light. And they actually say, when they say you have a revelation, they say, oh, I saw the light.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's part of our conversation in the world.
Yeah.
So now you recognize something that you didn't know before. It was hidden, and now it's revealed. And so in this aspect of inspiration, now you get to see more clearly. So you got the hit, you got the awakening, your aha moment, but now you're in revelation. Now something is being revealed to you that is much richer and more empowering than the initial part of it. And then you come to transformation. And the transformation encourages change. So the inspiration that you initially noticed, that tapped you on the shoulder, now you're really participating. And you're in a change, a transformation. Because the light that you received, the inspiration that you received, changed you. It's a metamorphosis. It's the cells of your DNA are vibing with a new energy that it's allowing you to see something and transform. Now, most people, again, like I said before, most people, they have an inspiration. They go, oh, isn't that cool? That was a really great idea. And even if they do something about it, they're not embodying this level of frequency and of connection and wisdom and transformation. And it's really powerful when you think about it like that.
It seems to me there's so much out there that it can get a little, I don't want to say confusing, but cumbersome is a better word. And now we have this tri-light. I first thought, Twilight. I like Twilight. It's kind of nice.
Uh-huh.
Can we break it down a little bit more in terms of the best ways? You've talked about this, of course, on previous programs of how to access and I even want to take it to the next level, not just access, but utilize, put into practice, if you will. It's like a construction worker taking a hammer and a nail. All right, how do we do that in this regard? And I always like to preface this by saying not just yes for ourselves, but also for those around us, near and far.
Well, it's really interesting when we look at inspiration and we look at, I'm going to say it this way, when we look at putting it into play. So, and that's why the book is Living Inspired, because you are living it, not sitting back and waiting for it to happen, and not taking, modest actions that don't actually mean anything. See, one of the things that is important and exciting is you have to be conscious of this. You have to actually know that this is inspiration. It's like not a hot flash.
Yeah.
It's not a random thought that happens to flow through your head and doesn't mean anything. And that's why we have, awakening, revelation, and transformation, because when you're really present, those things actually happen. And so with a lot of times when people think about inspiration, which I'm glad they are,
mm-hmm.
right? It comes to them and they take a modest action, and that's really cool. This is to a completely higher level. So now you receive the inspiration, and we'll definitely get to the tri-light. Now you receive the inspiration, and you're allowing it and encouraging it. You're pursuing it to awaken something more in you. And then the revelation is once that is awakening, now you can see things that are revealed to you that either you knew and never paid attention to, or you never knew, or it's a revelation of things coming together in a completely new way for you. And still and more being open to the inspiration, now the transformation takes place, because when you have that awakening and you have that revelation and you're still present and playing, you are transforming. You are in a space of transformation. So the actions you take in the world, whether you share them with friends or you just embody them, makes a huge difference in how you're playing and how inspiration helps you change the world. And really, inspiration is happy. Anytime you get inspired, and most of us, when we look at inspiration, we look at it in the arts because it's the easiest to see. When a painter gets inspired, they don't just sit there and go, wow, cool, I had a really nice thought. Yep, I really like blue paint. No. They got the paint going, they got the canvas open, they're like moving and shaking and painting, and they're in that, bringing all of those frequencies together so that they can share it and be in that energy. And so when we look at the art of living inspired, now we go to the tri-light. So lights are vibrations and lights are expressions. And they actually hold the frequency of inspiration. And they hold it in different ways. So I love to look at these three aspects, because when you think of like the light shining in you and the light shining on you, these three different lights allow you and encourage you and hold the frequencies for you to really play in inspiration. And so the first one is the sweet light. And the sweet light experience of inspiration is joy, elation, wonder, beauty, and delight. So you can feel this gladness, this joy. You're optimistic, you're buoyant. It's that energy of excitement. And we've all had it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, I mean, we can say a whole bunch of different things on how it feels, right?
Yeah.
But it's sweet. You know, if you're a songwriter and a musician, you know, inspiration is sweet. It comes to you and it lets you know that there's something even bigger, and you're going to play in there. And so the sweet level is like a spark. It's sweet, it's connecting, it's weaving different things together, and you can feel that it's relevant, and its relevance brings you joy. It makes you feel like wonderful, and you can feel that when this light and this inspiration comes to you in the sweet light, it's connecting you with you, but on a bigger level. So you can feel that energy. And some people actually feel a tingling when the sweet light comes. That it's like bringing new meaning and energy. And, you know, sometimes when you get inspiration, you really do get tingles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like this first energy really shows you that the divine is calling you.
It's something that I have to say that I've had recent experiences like that. Maybe not quite the tingling, but the physical elation and maybe the mental, I'm going to call it the mental peace at the same time. I'll even be driving. I matter of fact, even this morning, I love the marine layer. I love when the marine layer rolls in here on the Central Coast and so forth, and it keeps things cool and moist and what have you. And I get in the car, and I get on the road, and I'm heading down the hill, as I like to call it. And I'm looking around, just gazing around a little bit as I'm coming down the hill, and how beautiful. Everything's green, and there's the fog. I don't know what to call it, whether it's fog or low clouds or whatever it is. And the combination of everything is beautiful. And even if I start thinking about, if folks remember how I was counseled to start making a list of those things that are heavy on my mind, even if I was to bring those into the forefront of my mind, it's that elation that I feel that makes those things they don't get in the way. It's almost as if I have put up this wonderful little shield of sorts. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what I think about. Everything is wonderful. And I know that we can't, as much as, correct me if I'm wrong, Lumari, but as much as we'd like to, we can't stay in that state or frame of mind 100% of the time. Because I have a feeling we wouldn't get a whole lot done. But it sure feels good.
We can get things done there. I think that's part of the confusion, is that we think that we have certain ways of thinking about how we're thinking that
I like that.
that shift how we're thinking about what we're thinking about.
Very good. I like that.
You can quote me. It's okay.
and isn't it? And again, guide me through this a little bit. Isn't it that if we're there in that state, I'll use euphoria or what have you, upliftment, if you will, where if we were to spend time consciously dwelling on or focusing on one of those things in my list, that then there's the real possibility that the needed inspiration to address those items may come along, telling me, okay, item 1, here's the inspiration for item 1. And there's no emotional upheaval or what have you. You get the guidance that is needed to address those things, right? Is that?
Well, yes, and okay. And so the sweet light is, I'm just going to say it's softer. Okay?
Okay.
So it's joyful, it's intriguing, and it's directing you to experience more wisdom from the divine in yourself. So it's like a clear vision. It brings your heart and truth into a moment. So instead of thinking of receiving guidance about a specific thing, when we think of inspiration as a guiding force without a linear focus, then you're looking at it in another way. Now, the sweet light is intimate. It's very, I don't know if private is the right word, but it's a little more personal. So that the universe, the divine, is calling to you so you can amplify and awaken to the sweet light in you and then shine it back to her. Okay. So when looking at inspiration in this arena, where I'm really describing it in the biggest sense so that we don't look at it in a simple way, because that's what happens. We look at inspiration simply, and inspiration can change your life and change the world. It's not, ooh, should I get eggs? Yeah, I had a great idea, eggs. It's not that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so when you're looking at it, the joy and inspiration that you feel driving your car technically has nothing to do with the list of things that you want to overcome or shift or change or release. It is the inspiration of the divine, the vista that you see and how it feels to you. That's bigger than the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at what inspiration can bring us, inspiration can bring us into a new dimension of participating in our world, because we're not looking at those little things. It doesn't mean that we don't need to. It just means in the moment of inspiration, we're not looking at that. We are expanding into our being, receiving messages from the divine, however you look at that, and then being open to receive that. And that's the sweet light. It's like a gentle tap on the shoulder, or a little, breeze that makes you turn your head and be inspired, or whatever it is. It's not insignificant. It's just more subtle and sweet energy. Now, the inspiration that you feel may move you to look at things to change or uplift or transform in your life. But the focus of it is for you to be inspired.
Right.
And you may apply that inspiration to other things, but the inspiration is bigger than the other things you're thinking about. Does that make sense to you?
It does. It does. And the nice thing about it is that as we move forward in our lives, and again, I don't want to say that it necessarily absolutely gets easier, but the more you do anything, whether it's practice playing the piano or whatever it is, it does. It actually gets easier the more you do it. And so that's one of the reasons why we strongly suggest.
You're more aligned with it.
Uh-huh.
And so easier, yes, but more aligned with it, it gives another level of consciousness to it. So when you're looking at the sweet light is your invitation to light the way. So you're connecting gifts, you're connecting with your wisdom, and the sweet light makes you smile about what you have and what you have to offer and what the divine is sharing with you. And so when we look at it that way, and we look at how we engage in it, we're stepping into the vastness of the universe and actually having a conversation. And we're not the lesser than. Because the divine isn't going to have a conversation with somebody less than.
Okay.
Only humans do that.
Ah.
Like if we look at in this context, which isn't a spiritual context, but oh well. When we look at like corporate structure, and they only pay their workers minimum wage or less, and minimum wage or less sucks because you can't live on minimum wage. You can't support your family on minimum wage.
Right.
Right? That's the higher forces engaging with the lower forces, or the less evolved, and actually putting them in a level. Well, the divine doesn't do that with the inspiration. When the divine is talking with you and inspiration happens and you're in the sweet light, this is equal to equal.
Mm-hmm.
She is giving you some brilliance that is in alignment with who you are. Not, okay, I'm going to give you this, but you need to Google it to find somebody else to bring it out in the world because you're not capable of doing it this big. Right? And the divine does not work like that.
Yeah. Interesting.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's just most interesting. And I know everybody is looking for these kinds of answers. And they're looking for this kind of guidance, if you will, because they want, how do I put that? Yes, they want more out of life, their life, especially with some folks who feel stuck, And I get that. I do.
Sure.
I get that. And at the same time, we are challenged by the outside world, and it's almost as if you need to find a way to get into that state, into that, as I described earlier. Then you talked about it to the tingle or whatever your experiences is.
Right.
In order to maneuver through this world, matter of, you know what biblical passages came to me from this? Being in the world but not of it. And when you are being inspired and when you are experiencing what I've talked about, the euphoria, what have you, you're in it, but you're not of it. You're of the divine. You're connected. And you're inspired.
That's a beautiful way of saying it. That's a beautiful way of saying it. And the thing for all of us to recognize, see, like we talked about a few times ago, is that everybody receives inspiration. This is not an exclusive club. Everybody receives inspiration, and it may look different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be something really specific, and it may be something really grand. And if you're not listening, and you're not taking a pause, and if you're not acknowledging it, and that's the awakening part, if you're not, then you're not getting it. Then it looks like, oh, wasn't that a cool idea? Yeah, Post-it notes, cool, right?
Yeah.
Except the person who had the idea for Post-it notes changed everything.
Yeah, they did.
Okay? Now, we might look at it and say, well, that didn't change the world. I don't know, I got a lot of Post-it notes sitting around here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And I'm using that as a funny example because also when we're looking at, living inspired and moving into the awakening, revelation, and transformation of it, you're in a whole other place of playing. You're actually looking at this going, okay, this is what I received. I may not know what I'm going to do with it now. I may not even need to do anything about it, but I'm going to live in this frequency and space of inspiration.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let it be a Post-it note that I put on the board and then walk away, and 5 years later I go, whoa, what was that? No. And we have it in all these different ways. And like what you were talking about euphoria, now that's the beaming light. That's the light, that's the experience that inspiration is kind of like a rock your world experience. That's like you feel that exaltation, the euphoria, the ecstasy, like jubilance, right? And it makes you feel more significant when you connect with this aspect. So the sweet light, it brings you joy and happiness, and you feel like, just like you were talking about driving, and I can feel your energy driving that car, how happy you are. And now when you talk about the beaming light, that's like, I have a sense of humor about all of these things. So that's like the choir of angels. Oh! Right?
Yeah.
Because it's powerful. And you can feel significant. And this is where you get moved. This one you don't ignore. Right?
Yeah.
You may not still do anything about it, which I'm writing all about these things and bringing in these frequencies and actions and teachings and everything, because most people do not teach you or hold you or say to you, work with the intuition that you have. Bring it forward. Now, the beaming light, you're going to be moved. You're not going to forget this one. I'm still not telling you that most people who experience something like this actually do anything about it. A lot of times they just go, wow, that was amazing, or they're moved to tears, or they some people will have like such a transformational experience, right? I like to call it an oh wow.
Right.
That they really feel like it blows them away. It still doesn't mean they do anything about it, but their world has been shaken. This is an amazing energy that you can look at it and you can see, okay, vibrationally, it's moving through you really quickly. So you're feeling that. So still, not everybody experiences something viscerally. It might be just that you can't stop thinking about the thing that you just experienced. But it brings you to a level of like regrouping and re-understanding and recalibrating who you are. Now, in the moment, it might not make any sense at all. And then afterwards, when you're really embodying it or understanding it or pursuing it more, it might make more sense than anything else you've ever thought of.
Right. The process.
And these are the ones that's like a flash, a flash of lightning in your life, or, all of a sudden all of these pieces come into play. Does it make sense?
It does. It makes perfect sense. It really does. It is one of those aspects of growth that, I personally, I would much rather go through the growth process consciously, so that I'm aware of what's happening. It's, rather than getting it by osmosis, and not really knowing what it is that I got, I remember sort of joking with my brother. We were walking through the desert during a family reunion, and I was 33. I was in my early 30s.
Oh, 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it feels sometimes, too. And I was sharing with him where I was at. And he says, well, it's about time you got it. And I don't know, it just came to me. I said, well, and my brother's name is Mike. I said, Mike, it's not about when you get it, but that you get it. And I feel like that's what we're encouraging people to do, is not to put pressure on themselves. There is, as much as we would like to, believe that, we need to do it now. Sometimes we're not quite ready for it. So it's important to take it a little at a time, a little at a time, a little at a time.
Well, you want to do it. This is the thing with inspiration. The divine tapped you on the shoulder for you. So you're going to do it your way.
Mm-hmm.
Degas and Renoir paint differently. They were both Impressionist paintings. They both had, similar views of the world because they were in France.
Right.
But they looked at the world very differently because inspiration tapped them on the shoulder. Through themselves, it was depicted. It was painted. When we're looking at the inspiration of this light, right? When we're looking at this is big. Now, the beaming light may, change you immediately, and then you may have to come back and sort it out. Or you might have a completely different view of things that you didn't even realize was possible in the world. Or you didn't realize you could make those shifts. The timing of things needs to be in timing that is right for you.
Yeah.
And when we look at it, okay, sometimes we get hesitant, and that's a personality thing, right?
Yeah.
When you don't do it when you really want to do it because you have insecurities and all those different things. And the other thing is sometimes you definitely don't want to jump in right away. If the universe tells you to be an Olympic swimmer and you haven't learned how to swim yet, don't jump in the ocean. You should get a swimming coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you want to be able to play with the timing so that for yourself to be totally present to the inspiration, to that awakening, revelation, and transformation, then you want to tune in to let the inspiration guide you. It's not about somebody else's conversation, because we're all going to be ahead of things and behind things. Always.
Yeah.
Always. I'm sure there's plenty of people on the world right now who were the ones who created computers. And now they're looking at AI, and it's a whole other reality.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Are they behind? Are they ahead? Who cares?
Yeah.
What's inspiring you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the joy in your heart and the beauty in your soul join together so that you connect with this light and see where you're going to play and where you're going to make a difference. And where you're going to play is what lights you up. And one of the things that we know is true is that what lights you up changes the world. Because you have your vision. You can see where you're playing. You can walk in your own footsteps. And then you get to play there. The thing about it is that when you're following your inspiration, when you're engaged in living inspired, you are making a difference. Just by being that, just by listening and taking those actions, you are making a difference. It doesn't need to be a checklist. Yes, I did world peace. Yes, I got food all over the world. No, it's not like that. Inspiration is bigger than a checklist. Aren't you relieved?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I will be honest with you that my checklist has been helpful. But at the same time, I look at my checklist, and this is another area, I think, not being self-critical in this regard. How many of them have I checked off? Well, it's been a couple of months. One. So, because it takes time. I mean, each one of these items was, it wasn't huge, but still, it takes time. And so I'm not putting the pressure on. It's the same thing with my book. I've been working on it since 2001, i.e. the flyer, the original concept started in 2001. Here it is, 2024. So what? I have still been sharing those concepts within the context of this broadcast, podcast, videocast. So it's not like it hasn't been shared. It's just it's not in the form that I'm working towards, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I also keep in contact. I keep in mind about divine right timing.
Well, and the thing is that if we have all of that pressure everywhere, then are we going to have fun? Inspiration is all about joy.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is. And so one of the things I want to just distinguish is that inspiration is not a burden. Inspiration is I have to do this for my community in order to... It's not that.
Yeah.
It's not. And it's not standing in the front of the room and getting everybody up to do this, this, and this, and this, and, all. It's not that.
Right.
The divine has singled you out. And, think about it. Because most people do not think about inspiration. Even when I say the divine is talking with you, it's more like, yeah, that's cool. It's like, no. This is the divine that created every star that we know and don't know, all the particles of the universe, our planet, every single person on it, is tapping you on the shoulder with a message. You don't think that's mind-blowing?
Yeah. It's
I
incredible.
mean, seriously, when you look at it like that, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And that just brings us to the next level, which is the brilliant light. And the brilliant light is even deeper and more profound because you feel this luxury, you feel awe, but you also feel gratitude and peace and celebration. So all of the other energies of it, this is like it's in your bones. It's in your soul. So you can feel like a deepening, a connection, a light, an experience, and you may not even feel a reason for it, but it just kind of starts to be you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's intimacy, and it can be quiet, but it's still enlightening. It's still a higher level of realization. And for some people, they're never able to describe this one. It's like they can't even say, yeah, I had an incident and it blew me away, because it blew me away doesn't even describe what was happening for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we wrap things up, folks, we're talking about Lumari's book, Living Inspired with Lumari. We're talking about part 2 of her book, Follow the Light. And there's something here that I want to share with our listeners here, that light spattered in patterns of love, running across the grass, laughing. She, and I like this, interesting that you put the feminine to it. Well, I should rephrase that. You didn't put the feminine to it. This was channeled through you. She just stared. The world was opening. Move into the brilliance. Stand in the light. Breathe. She stepped into exaltation, illumination. She swooned in joy. The light echoed her names and her dreams. She said, yes. The answer is always yes. And the reason I share that from your book is because there are so many times when we either will say no or will say not now. And it's, to me, it's fascinating to watch the unfoldment of my life. And I'll look back maybe a day or two at the most, okay? And then I look where I'm at, have no idea where I'm going, but I'm trusting. And as is phrased there, following that light. This is not the same light that people talk about in near-death experiences. That is not the light we're talking about.
No, it's not.
So as we come to the end of this particular chapter, this particular program, I'm going to give you the last word on this as we wrap things up with this particular section.
So every single person who is here in this moment or here in a future moment, say yes to your inspiration and see what happens. You want to breathe it. You want to receive it. You want to allow it to be present and grow within you so that you can actually be part of that inspiration. There may be actions and there may not be. Sometimes that energy comes to completely transform your energy. Sometimes there are things that you realize it's time to do that you just have been waiting for. And sometimes it's like, I never saw that one before. But
Yeah.
I'm inviting you all to say yes and play.
And I have to say that with the station that I work for and its transition from one ownership to another, there was a little uneasiness, but the more time goes by, and again, I look back a couple of days and I look forward and go, okay, what's next? I have to tell you that it's been extraordinary just the last few days. It's like, wow. I'm there are things that are happening that I never would have expected. But I will tell you, there are things that are happening that I do expect, and that is to have you back here next week to continue our conversation into Chapter 6, which we'll tell you about next week. So, Lumari, thank you so much for being with us again.
Oh, Richard, it's a joy and a pleasure. And blessings, everyone. May your life be filled with inspiration that you take action.
Absolutely. And I thank you folks for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story. New Paradigms for a New World. Until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast. Love to Lal. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy. Smokey, I will see you on the other side. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.